Hi everyone, this is Carly Watson, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to succeed at tournaments. We'll be covering general tips, what you should do after the last speech in the round ends, how you should act during the judge's decision, and what you can be doing between rounds and during the judge's decision to stay productive. In this section, we'll talk about some general tips to succeed at tournaments. First is put school to bed before you leave for the tournament. It's important to work ahead on school so that you don't have any things lingering over your head as you enter into the tournament. It's important to focus and make sure that you're not trying to multitask during the tournament. You should reach out to teachers in advance of your trip to be able to prepare for any missed time. Second, you should get on the tournament schedule as soon as possible. What I mean by that is, if you're traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast, you'll want to adjust to the time zone. And a lot of times, even if you're staying in the same time zone, you might not be used to going to bed at 9 and getting up at 6. And so you want to start priming your body to be able to operate at peak performance while on the tournament schedule. Third, use the travel day to work. All downtime while you're at a tournament is golden, and you should treat it like you're on a work trip. You use the time when you're traveling to the tournament to work. It's a great time to work with other people on your debate team or have access to your coach, and if you don't use that time, it's just wasted. The next thing is to wake up on tournament days with time to actually be awake. It's not a good situation to have to be in the lobby of the hotel at 8 o'clock, well, let's be realistic, 6 o'clock in the morning, and wake up at 5:55. You want to wake up with enough time to actually do some things. Do speaking drills, take a shower, eat breakfast, stuff like that. Be totally awake. The next thing is to make sure that you eat and drink water. Those seem really obvious, but sometimes they require planning ahead at the tournament. You might want to pack some snacks or something to eat at the tournament if the schedule looks like it's going to be difficult to find time to eat, and you want to drink a lot of water. The infographic on this page talks about how much water you want to drink based on how much you weigh, but at a tournament, your body and your mind are working overtime, and so you want to be drinking even more water than that. In this section, we'll talk about what you should do as soon as the last speech in the debate is over. First, you should create the judge's post-round speech docs. It's important to get your cards to the judge as soon as possible so that they have time to reference them. We'll have a companion video that talks about assembling the post-round speech doc. Second, you should save the other team's sites and docs. I feel like a lot of times people don't do this and they assume that the other team will post on the wiki, or they just think other things are more important, but it's really useful to have a collection of what other teams have read against you, especially at small tournaments where other teams from your school might hit them, or if it's a team that you debate very often. It avoids you having to do a site request later or track it down on the wiki. Third, update your own wiki. Create a wiki doc and post it and just have it be done. It avoids a bunch of tracking down of things later, and just make sure that you're ready for the next round to start. Fourth, to whatever extent possible, you should try to stay in the room. You want to just keep working, keep your head down, and project to the judge that you think that you're going to win. There's obviously opportunities to take constructive mental breaks and breaks from being in the room. But to whatever extent possible, you kind of want to post up there and wait for the decision. The next thing is to rehydrate, make sure that you eat a snack if you need it, just generally keep your physical health up. And then the last thing is to prepare for the next debate, which we'll talk more about on a future slide. In this section, we'll talk about what you should be doing during the judge's decision. When the judge is literally giving their reason for decision. First is you should give the judge the benefit of the doubt. What I mean by that is you should try to approach the decision from the perspective that the judge does understand what they're doing and that they're giving you constructive feedback. It's important that you give them the benefit of the doubt and don't just assume, they don't know how to even decide a debate, because otherwise you're not really listening to what they're saying and how they're telling you to get better. Even judges who are new or maybe you disagree with are giving you perspective on how you could have better communicated things. Just blaming judges or bad judging for losing a debate is not really a way to get better because you haven't internalized their suggestions for what you can do. Second is ask specific and actually useful questions. I judge a lot of debates where people say things like, How can my 1AR have been better? And that's an okay question, but it's hard to answer because I don't really know what you're getting at. A better way to ask a specific question might be something like, did you think my time allocation between the thumper arguments and impact defense was right in the 1AR? Or even more than that, you could ask something like, how can I frame the thumper arguments to take out more of the neg specific link arguments? That version of the question allows you to use the judge's feedback to build 1AR blocks that you can use in the future. It turns judge feedback into product that you can use as prep. That's kind of what the diagram on the right-hand side of the screen shows. You want to be using post-round feedback to make pre-round prep and pre-tournament prep better, and they're all mutually reinforcing. The last thing is you want to ask follow-up or clarifying questions. You want to be able to understand what it was about the debate or why it was that you won or lost the debate. And it's okay to ask the judge to explain more what they mean so that you actually understand why you won or lost the debate. In this section, we'll talk about what you can do either while you're waiting for a decision or between rounds. Remember what I was saying about downtime being a golden opportunity in debate. And time between rounds is crucial prep time. If you're using that time to take a productive mental break, that's totally fine. Maybe you go and get some food or take a walk around. But if you're just using that time to bop around and not really focus on what you have to do, you're wasting a lot of downtime at tournaments. And so you want to be using the time in between rounds to prep. I always thought it was hard to know what to do once the tournament was going because I was so in the weeds that I lost perspective about what was going on or what the big picture important things were to do. That's why the second thing I think is important. Create a to-do list before the tournament and then evolve it during the tournament so you know what you could be doing. There's always things that you don't get to before you get to the tournament. Maybe it's re-highlighting a block or just retweaking something. And so having a running list of things that you could or want to be doing is important because then when you find yourself sitting in a room or at your house waiting for the next round to start, you know, here are 5 things that I could be doing right now to use this time effectively. The third thing I already mentioned, which is to take a productive mental break. It's a good opportunity to, like I said, walk around, do some calming breaths, whatever it is that kind of helps you regroup and get ready for the next debate. That's a totally healthy approach to take to time between rounds. It's just important that you don't want to let that time get away from you. If you need 5 minutes for a productive mental break, don't take 20. If you need 20, don't take 40. Just really think about how you can be using that time effectively between rounds. And the last thing is to try to focus on teams reading similar arguments and not get dragged into random stuff. What I mean by that is there's a lot going on in a tournament. It's really easy to get distracted by this team broke this, or I heard they have a new impact to this. And it's really difficult to use that energy effectively at a tournament. You can add it to your to-do list and come back to it. But if you're kind of just in the hallway, gossiping about what got read during round 4 of the tournament, it's not really helping you have end of tournament vision in the same way as if you kind of channel that energy into prepping for the next debate. And so you don't kind of want to be a part of the social media gossip train. You want to be really using that time to collect useful intelligence and then using it to prep for your future debates. That's the end of this video. It's just some of the most effective tips to being prepared for tournaments or participating in tournaments well. If you have any questions, definitely let me know and check out the companion video about preparing post-round speech docs. Thank you.